Hey lovelies, Bestine the Mindset Mom here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my personal story and how I came into mindset work. Stick around. Okay, so some of you know my story and some of you don't, and so I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background and how I came into mindset work. Now, my fascination with the brain and the mind actually goes back to when I was very young, about the age that my daughter is now. If you were to come up to me at age 10 and said, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? See, I didn't know anything about mindset or life coaching or mindset coaching or anything like that. I didn't know about psychology or any of those related fields. And so I would have told you I want to be a brain surgeon, because the only thing that I knew was there is something so fascinating about the mind, and I got to get in there and find out what it is. Okay, so that was me when I was younger. And then, going through, I had a parent who went through the recovery movement, like AA, because of having an addiction to alcohol. And so I went with them in my teenage years through that process, and I was very exposed to a lot of recovery things, a lot of, we were very supportive of this person. We would go with them to conferences. I went to them even to I guess it was like a breath workshop. It was like an all weekend thing. So I remember we did a lot of things that were related to recovery movement. And when it was time to go off to college and declare a major, it just seemed like a no-brainer to me to declare psychology as my major. So I went away to college. I did some community college first, and then I went away to university. It didn't finish because of a family emergency that took me out, and I ended up actually moving back to California at that time. But no worries, because since working on mindset and having things restored back to my life, glory to God, that sort of thing was restored, because actually when I was at university, I was in a child psychology class, and my professor, who was head over child psychology at the university, actually took me under her wing. And as a freshman, maybe she saw something in me, maybe a love of learning for that area. She said, come with me. I want you to head up a study for the master's students to write their thesis. And what you're going to do is you're going to produce stimuli, and you're going to oversee studies. And it was just a really, really fun thing. So when I needed to leave university due to a family emergency, my hopes were dashed against the rocks. So when I say that things have been being restored in that regard, I mean everything has been being restored, and it actually blows my mind. Now, since about the age of, since adolescence, and then when in my 20s I actually got diagnosed. I had a disorder that is connected to, it's a hormonal disorder called PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I was diagnosed in my 20s, and at the time they really didn't understand it. And nowadays you see people, 5K runs for PMDD, and it's just becoming a much more studied thing, a much more talked about thing. But the characteristics of it are anxiety, depression, fatigue, just a lot of different symptoms that are largely, kind of affect the person's mood and psyche and all this sort of thing. Well, it was a very difficult trek for me, and it surfaced different ways over the years. It got a little bit better with having my two children. So I had my two children within 2.5 years of each other, but then it started getting bad again. And it started getting bad right around the time where I started launching into business. And I wanted to, because I homeschool my kids, I'm a school at home kind of a person. I actually wanted to, and I have something that I'm going to go into more detail about this, that I'm putting together something special for parents who are schooling their children at home. If you want to learn more about that, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook for updates, okay? And I will get those to you. But at the time I was schooling my kids at home, and I wanted for various reasons. Number one, I believe in modeling, and so I know I'm raising up the next generation of champions, innovators, change makers, and I needed them to see that example in me. And so I launched into something that I was interested in learning about, and that was business. And later I find out how intricately connected entrepreneurship is with mindset work and energy work and all this stuff. I didn't know it at the time, but my illness was getting very, very difficult to deal with, both in my family, my marriage, and my children. And I knew it was affecting my life in not such a good way. And it was sort of my bottom. It was sort of my pit, where I came from. And what happened was I started hearing about these things that people were doing in business, like say daily positive affirmations. And I was like, okay, well that fits, because I love psychology and I love, personal development and stuff. I may not have worked at it really hard over the years because I was busy with little ones, raising them and schooling them. I mean, you get it. Sometimes it's overwhelming. But when my mentors in my business, were doing it and were teaching it, I was like, I think I need to pay attention to this. And so I started out, in network marketing, and then I started going up about learning about attraction marketing and online marketing, which is so much more powerful, and I was very much more gravitated toward that. And so I started doing these positive daily affirmations. Now, it's interesting because one of the symptoms that would come on in my illness was the rumination of negative thoughts. Now, I didn't know anything about thought selection at the time, or monitoring your thoughts, but one of the things that I noticed was later on that in the studies that they've done, the empirical studies on meditation, they actually have found that that's one of the symptoms that meditation helps. I didn't learn that with my conscious brain until later. What happened was I started saying positive affirmations over my business. I'm like, okay, well, might as well give it a try. My husband said, "What are you doing? Like, you seem just more positive. It's affecting the whole house. Like, the kids are different. You're different." And I just went, what? All I've been doing is saying these positive daily affirmations over my business. Like, some of them were not like, I was launching into the deep, like, I am so happy and grateful for the fact that I make $50,000 a day. I mean, just kind of like really, like, I didn't start out, I just launched into the deep because, I tend to be a person of high belief. And so he was like, you are because I would normally come to him and I would be like, sorry, a little embarrassed to say this now, but I would be like bringing him my problems and like a really complainy spirit, like, this is going on and how am I going to deal with this? And I was trying to communicate with him the feelings of overwhelm, and it wasn't fair to him, and it was really starting to weigh on him. But when I started saying the positive daily affirmations, I didn't know it, but I stopped doing that, or at least vastly minimized it, and I focused on the positive things. Because here was what was going through my mind. If I say this positive affirmation, I don't want to say a negative thing to undo it. And I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it's just because of what my faith taught, or just something, I didn't want to curse this thing I was trying to bless. And I'm telling you, that made all the difference in the world in my life. My life started to change. Doors started to open. Abilities to learn with certain mentors just presented themselves, and the path became clear, the doors were wide open, and it was like, wow, I was learning so much so fast. And the more I knew the positive effect, because I'm telling you, I was taking supplements for this. I do believe that's a little bit vitally important to state that, I think I was a component of it could be magnesium deficiency. And so when I upped that, but he really said, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I'm taking this magnesium, but I'm also like, I'm just saying these affirmations. And he was like blown. That's when he started to take note. And that's when he was like, I think I need to pay a little bit of attention to this. So he just watched. So he's just kind of like, just the observer type, just like chill, go with the flow. And he was like, but he was watching, and he was noticing these changes in me, and I started noticing the changes in my kids. And once he said that, I thought, you know what, I have noticed that our kids have been more positive and not as cranky and not so tantrumy lately, whatever that looked like for them at the time when they were a little bit littler. And so I started taking note, and then I started reading more books, and this really ignited a love of learning in me for mindset and for learning about these things. And there have been, challenges along the way, but I always come back to, wow, this is so fulfilling. And this is, it's a way I can possibly help people. And because maybe I can identify with some people that they've been down in the pit, in the pit. I don't know if you know this, but there are some statistics out there that say 3% of those who have this disease, PMDD, actually commit suicide. They actually attempt suicide. And so that was a grave concern for me. Not that I was afraid of that per se, and I'm just being real and real raw with you here. I always thank God and praise God every day for every day that I'm given. But the feelings of overwhelm and sadness and depression were so deep. I thought, well, if this can help me, this can help so many other people, and I need to get to work. So I studied everything that I could. I studied Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've been reading his books, and just a vast array of people. I listened to Tony Robbins, as you know, my mentor, Wesley Virgin and Ariella Iorio. I listen to them, and they teach a lot on mindset. I listen to other people who are from other companies and other industries as well. So I just started learning about this and really just throwing myself into learning about mindset, learning about even some of the energy stuff connected to it. And I started to see changes in my life. And as some of you know, a thing that I prayed about for years and years, our personal debt eliminated in one day after I removed an energetic block to money. And so this became just like my calling card, oh my gosh, I need to help as many people as I can. I need to get this message out there. I need to that's why I created this YouTube channel. And I wanted to see people to succeed. And I'm on my road to success, and I want to see you succeed, and I want to see you just take, do thought selection. Some people say take control of your thoughts. Yeah, because if we really saw how nasty our negative thoughts really are and what they do to the body and bring into our reality, we wouldn't want to have them. So yeah, if you want to say control your thoughts or monitor your thoughts, however you want to look at that, I call it thought selection, because if we know that these thoughts are going to get us this outcome and these thoughts are going to help us toward that outcome, we're going to be a little bit more selective in the thought processes that we allow into our minds. So and we want to focus on more of the positive and go toward, because what you focus on grows. This is just, many of you are familiar with the observational studies for quantum physics. Molecules actually changed regarding, connected to whether the correlation was connected to whether they were being observed or not, just observed. So that's a fascinating study if you want to look more into that. So that's what got me started on my mindset journey. And because I do teach it to my children, because I think mindset is very important in their education and also in, who the little human beings that they're becoming. The name actually was suggested by my daughter. She's like, Mindset Mom. And I was like, wow, okay, well, there you go, Mindset Mom. And so it just has fit. And so anyway, that's a little bit about my story. It's kind of like a mental rags to riches kind of a story. My life resembles nothing like it used to. I used to be such an unhappy person, and now I just only have hope and joy and gratitude in my life. Gratitude, you guys, really does change the structure of the brain. They've done MRI studies on this, and it really does change the structure, the physical, actual structure of the brain. And if that's any indication to you of actually how you can change your reality, how you can be grateful and attract more blessings into your life. And here's another one. Here's a little hack that I've never talked about before, but there is a man from Japan named Ken Honda, and I watched a masterclass with him. Ken Honda actually talked about a way that has really helped me get out of financial duress and get into financial blessing. And what he practices is called the method of arigato. Now, arigato is a way to thank your money. And what he does is he thanks the money going out, and he thanks the money when he receives it. And this reminds me of so many things that the good book talks about blessings coming in and blessings going out, and not cursing things. So this has been really eye-opening for me, and I try to make myself mindful to do it every single time. I don't always remember, I'm just being honest, and I'm really working hard at it, but just to practice gratitude at all times, because I remember the time when I was not grateful, and when I was really reaping all the thoughts, all the negativity on a cyclical basis that I had no control over, because I was reaping at that time. Does this make sense? And so I want you to know that there's hope, that there's joy, and you can design your life. I'm busy designing mine. Come on, let's go together, and I'll see you in the next video.